So do you think your friends are a good or bad influence on you?
A decent influence? Does that work?
I would say I have a little bit of both, you know. They're good influence at times and they could be bad influence sometimes.
I think they're a little bit of both. Sometimes they influence me to do good things, sometimes bad things. Like I always make sure I do good in school, but when it comes to other things, I guess, I can be influenced easily.
I think they're a good influence. Why? I don't get in trouble, so they have to be a good influence.
I think my friends are a great influence on me. They inspire me to have fun, as well as pursue my goals in life.
They don't fall under peer pressure, and they show me like the right way to do things and not the wrong way.
I think my friends are a good influence. I wouldn't be hanging out with them if they weren't. And the people who I thought were a bad influence in the past, I've let go as my friends. So
I 100% agree. That's exactly what happened to me.
My friends are like the best part of my everyday life. Seeing them, hanging out with them, and the way they influence me and my life is a gift every day.
They're a good influence on me for the most part.
Why?
They help me stay, focused on my goals. Like they make sure have my head on my shoulders.
Most of my friends are good influences on me and good people to be around.
Why?
They just point me in the right direction, help me make decisions.
In grade school, it wasn't that big of a difference, so we didn't have bad influence. But once you got to high school, there was a big difference. I did have a lot of friends that really influenced me to do stuff, but you get out of that stage, and now I've more matured, and I know what's the difference between right and wrong.
As teenagers, our friends are some of the most important people in our lives.
They're our constant companions at school, on sports teams, and in youth groups.
Our friends make up our entire social scene, and while it's natural to feel loyalty to those we share so much in common,
it's not always easy to determine if our friends are leading us down the right path.
Are your friends a good or bad influence on you? That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Kristen.
And I'm Dylan, and this is Real Faith TV. The American inventor and automaker Henry Ford once said, "My best friend is the one who brings out the best in me."
While we desire to meet people who encourage us to be our happiest and most virtuous selves,
we sometimes get caught up with friends who make us feel like we can never measure up.
Do your friends bring out the best in you, or make you feel like you have to change to fit in?
Let's go back to the teens on the street and see what they have to say about this.
Let's check it out.
Do you ever feel like you have to work and change to fit in?
No. My friends make me feel very comfortable. I mean, I've known them forever, so they know what I'm like, and they know that they don't have to change me or don't have to try to change me.
they see me at my worst, and they definitely always bring out the best in me.
They love me for who I am and what I do and how I am, so I mean, it's like they follow me, you know what I'm saying, because I'm the leader, you know what I'm saying?
There's always that popular crowd that you want to try and fit into. So yeah, I do sometimes feel like I really do change myself, but I realize that that's not who I am.
There was a time when I did, and I think everyone has.
No, my friends, basically just be myself, and we have fun all the time.
I just moved to the town where I live in about 2 years ago, and it's been kind of easy for me to make the change and fit in.
We all have those few times when, we do things we don't want to do. It's called peer pressure. Don't let that get to you out there, you know what I'm saying?
We go to parties and get in trouble sometimes, but never anything horrible.
One of my friends took some drug that I would never feel comfortable doing, but she did it.
My friend, everyone has tried drugs and alcohol and pretty much all that stuff.
Yes, my friends always smoke pot.
You're always surrounded by your friends who are telling you to do one thing, but you kind of just gotta go with your heart. I mean, and not change for anybody. You gotta be yourself.
I pretty much, steer my own path. I like to, I steer clear of the wrong choices. If I know something's a fishy situation, I gotta stay away from that.
When I don't fit in, I'll eventually find people who I do fit in with.
I know a couple of my friends who have made mistakes because they were influenced by other people, but I stay away from that and try to make the right decisions.
It's all about, what you believe in, what your values are, how you grew up, what you stand for.
It's tough when everyone around you seems like they're doing the wrong thing, but it's really important to remember your values and what you stand for in your life.
Yeah, I mean, values are something really important, when choosing your friends. Well, let's see what our studio guests have to say about this.
All right, they are Gina, Kira, Ijama, Dan, Daniela, and Chris.
So, do your friends always encourage you to be your best?
Or do they sometimes discourage you and put you down?
Well, I feel like they encourage me, and that's why they're my friends. I mean, sure, they persuade me if I have a bad idea or I shouldn't be doing something, but most of the time it's not in a harsh way. They're like, Kira, you probably shouldn't do that. So most of the time they just encourage me and telling me that I can do it if I'm having a bad day or helping me out.
I think because my friends and I have the same values and similar goals, we encourage each other. I think it's more easier than someone else who doesn't have the same values and goals as you are, or you have.
My friends definitely encourage me a lot more than they discourage me because they are actually my friends.
My parents, they think that some of my friends discourage me or not like a good influence for me, but honestly, like they are. Like if they weren't, then they wouldn't be my friends. So I feel like my friends really always want the best for me, and that's what a good friend is, right?
For me, I've got two kinds of friends. The first group, they're kind of like, they're the smart, they think things through, and then they encourage me when I've got a really good idea, and then they discourage me when I have a bad idea. But then there's the other group of friends. They're the exact opposite. They don't think anything through. They act on thought immediately, and if I ever had an idea, no matter what it is, they'll just be like, do it right now.
For me, all my friends are actually youth group friends because I don't go to a real school. So all my friends are pretty good, and they encourage me pretty well. Like they have the same morals as me and the same values as me, and we bind very easily.
Every life is about balancing the risks and rewards of decision making. Do your friends help you to take good risks or bad ones?
Peer pressure works in both ways, both to encourage people into dangerous behavior, but also into virtuous.
Have your friends ever encouraged you to get involved in some dangerous behavior?
That's what we ask the teens on the street.
Let's check it out.
Okay, they told me to funnel a beer, and I was just like, all right, I'll just go along with it.
All right, so they definitely have influenced you.
Yeah, definitely. Once you're in high school, drinking is a big thing, so I have been influenced to go to parties and stuff, but I realized after that some mistakes that I shouldn't have done, so now I know that that's really not me.
My friend likes to smoke weed, and well, he thinks it would be pretty cool if I smoked it with him, but I told him no.
One guy I know, he stole some money from somebody, and he said, you want any of this? You want some of this? And I was a little tempted to take some. But I had to decline, I had to stay away from it. I was like, come on, man, what are you doing? Like, come on, this is wrong.
Do you think you've ever been a bad influence on someone?
I mean, I've been at parties with younger kids. I'm sure I've wrongfully influenced their lives.
Have you ever had to walk away from a friend or group of friends because you realized they were a bad influence and you didn't want to be pressured doing what they were doing?
Yeah, a couple times when kids were doing weed and drugs, had to walk away.
I know a couple friends who have tried to get me to have a couple of drinks or whatnot, and I turn it down. I try to make the right decisions and stay clean.
I went through a lot of ups and downs in the past, and I met a bad group of people, and they kind of brought me down with them. And I was influenced by everything that they were doing, whether it was like drinking, and I kind of just left them behind and found my real friends.
Yeah, I have to give my friends a lot of credit for that, because even though they're not always the best examples of what to do, they know that sometimes when things they're doing aren't right, they just don't even try to get me to do it because they don't want to see me go down that path,
I know a lot of people that like smoke weed and stuff, but they know that I'm like really against it. Like I absolutely don't like that. So they once they asked me to do it, and I was like no. Like they know I'm really strong. I'm really not for that, because also I try to get them out of it. So they respect my decision and they don't ask me anymore. So they never ask me, oh, do you want to join? Because they know that I'm not for that. But
Yeah, that's exactly like at my school. I used to have when I was in middle school, I used to have a group of friends, but then they started going down a different path, and it was mostly the guys, but they knew that my group of friends that are girls wouldn't participate in what they were doing, so they just stopped asking us. And even though it was bad at first, but now it's just so much better for me because I don't have to go down a path I don't want to go down.
Yeah, I have a group of friends that one night thought it'd be a good idea to go smash mailboxes, and they asked me to tag along, and I said no, I'd never do that. And they didn't pressure me at all, and it was in my best interest to not go, because even though I wanted to be with my friends, they actually ended up getting into a lot of trouble.
My friends are really good, I guess, because they never pressure me to do anything, and I'm really happy now that I hear all you guys' stories and I realize how good they really are.
Yeah, like Dan said, with my friends, I don't like being not just people who are into dangerous behavior, but just negative people who are gonna bring down your mood, just make you feel really bad about yourself. I make sure all my friends surrounding me are really good people and really positive. But our spotlight guest, Cliff, who's a producer for Grassroots Films and a member of the St. Francis House in Brooklyn, New York, is no stranger to the peer pressure that pushed him into doing drugs.
As a teenager living in New York City, he was exposed to many bad influences and dangerous behaviors.
Let's hear his story now.
I had loads of friends that were bad influences on me as a child, especially in school. I grew up in New York City and went to public school. So it's pretty much a free-for-all. Everyone who wants to try to do something bad, or if there's a drug that's the drug of choice at the time, everyone's trying it and doing it, which also tempted me because I had everyone around me trying the drug. If you weren't cool. I sort of fell under the peer pressure and eventually started to drink, and hang out with the wrong crowds. So I was 13 at the time, I'm 28 now. I had a couple of good friends, my best friends, that I always hung out with, and we made a pact where we would stay away from drugs, but I was the last one to stay clear from drugs, and they were the ones that sort of fell into it. So they were using it every day. They were smoking weed. One was using heroin and the other one was sniffing coke. So it was around me all the time, and I tried to stay strong. I remember one day we were hiding right by the park behind a couple of bushes, and I got high, and I just remember laughing, you know, uncontrollably. And from there, I just started to get into other bad habits, and as I got older, 15 and 16, I started to use LSD, and as I got to 18 and 19, I started to use ecstasy. So if my friends would have been positive role models around me, I never would have, you know, gotten into the drug scene. I highly doubt it. But because the closest ones to me were taking them, I sort of fell into it myself.
His story reminds me of a book I read called Go Ask Alice. And she was hanging out with these people, you know, she's at her friend's house, these people who she thought were her friends, and they're all just sitting around, you know, drinking Coke and having snacks, and someone had put LSD in her drink. And so from there, you know, she got into more drugs, and it just led her down a really bad path, and she lost all her friends.
The story reminds me of a book I read. It's called A Piece of Cake, and it's about this woman. Her name's actually Cupcake, and her mother passed away because of a drug overdose, but then she got involved, and her life was just horrible. She was living in the street. She went from foster home to foster home. It was the book. I couldn't believe it was her memoir. And then, but eventually she turned her life around, and it's really inspiring to see that she found a group of friends that helped her get through it.
It's definitely a slippery slope with drugs, and we really have to be careful and watch what we fall into. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 17, we read,
"As iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend."
This means that through companionship, our friends are shaping us as we are shaping them.
Do we always take the initiative to make the positive decision when with our group of friends?
Or do we let another handle the decision-making, no matter how much harm it may cause ourselves or others?
Next, Cliff talks to us about how he became a bad influence on his friends.
And how his faith in God helped him to change his life and make better decisions when it comes to choosing his friends.